Hello and welcome to Alderman Farms. I'm Patty. First off, I want to give a big thank you to Mary Ellen over at Prepper Potpourri for inviting me to be a part of the Shelf Stable Recipe Collaboration. As you can see, I've been working hard out in the garden, so I am thrilled to be able to make this quick and easy shelf-stable recipe. For this recipe, I'm going to be making one of my family's favorites, chicken tetrazzini. These are the ingredients that I will use today. I'm using gluten-free spaghetti. I like to try and use gluten-free when I can. A can of chicken, cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, and I'm using powdered cheese that I get from Azure Standard. Also, if you're wondering exactly what I mean by shelf-stable, these are all shelf-stable. They do not need refrigeration, and so that's the kind of thing that I'm using in my recipe, shelf-stable foods. Also, I have some water back on the stove boiling. I did forget one thing, and I may have forgotten more than one thing. We'll see as the video goes. I do add a little bit of salt to my boiling water before I boil my spaghetti noodles. Now today, it's just Tommy and I that will eat, so I'm only going to use a half a pack of spaghetti noodles. And I'm making the half recipe for us. So I'm gonna try and split it in half. If it's not perfectly in half, that's okay. And so I don't want a big batch of this when it's just Tommy and I, because we will eat it all. All right, I'm gonna boil these until they are tender and then strain them, then we'll get to our next step. The way you tell if your noodles are done is you taste one. Now, I didn't say you always boil your water first. I take for granted that everybody knows that, but you bring your water to a boil before you put your noodles in. They're just right. All right, I'm gonna strain my noodles, and while my noodles are straining, I'm gonna work on the rest. All right, I'm gonna use the same pot that I used for my noodles because I don't like to dirty up a bunch of dishes. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my cream of mushroom soup. I'm only gonna use a half a can, and I'll use the rest of the can in something else. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, just thereabouts. Do the same thing with my cream of chicken soup. Put about half a can in there. Turn it down though. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add my chicken. This is 1 can of chicken. It's 12.5 ounces, it says. And I'm gonna add some of the water in. I may not add quite all of it. I'm just going to try and pick my chicken up out of it, and I'll see how juicy it is. I don't want it to be too juicy, but I don't want it to be too thick either. I'm thinking I should have added my cheese powder to this first, and before I put my chicken in, because it's going to be harder to mix in my cheese powder. So, if you're doing this recipe, do your cheese powder first. All right, and this calls for 2 tablespoons of cheese powder. And typically, like to make a cheese sauce, you would add butter and milk. But since I'm already having my soups, I'm not worried about having the butter and the milk in here. And I'm going to go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of cheese powder. You don't even have to add cheese powder because it will taste good without it. Of course, everything's better with cheese, right? I love having my cheese powder on the shelf, though, because it makes quick macaroni and cheese. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and add more of my liquid. Cheese is not considered shelf-stable, but cheese powder is. I'm going to go ahead and add the whole liquid. And this will thicken up some as it sits. So it's okay if it is a little on the juicy side. And I'm very pleased. I think my cheese powder mixed up really good. And now I'm going to get my spaghetti noodles and add to it. I'm going to turn my fire off because I don't want to cook my noodles anymore. This is very good. This is a very simple, quick recipe that is shelf stable. It's very easy to scale it up for large quantities. I make it whenever the whole family comes. Of course, I use the whole recipe instead of the half a recipe like I did. So Anyway, it's very good, and it's very quick and very simple. Down in the description below, there is a special link for you to go, and you can actually make your own binder with all of these shelf-stable recipes. You can actually print out the page to go on the front. You can print out a lot of the recipes too. And also, of course, down in the description, there is a link to all the different channels that are participating in this shelf-stable pantry collab.